Another problem people have is with assembling of the mats. And the mats come out of your magazine and run down your channel entrances right here onto the belt. The belt brings them down and drops them into your assembler elevator. This adjustment right here, you have a light spring, and that spring should be adjusted to where the mats, the thinnest mat just passes through it. So it should be adjusted really close to the channel. This gate should be adjusted for your thickest mat, so your M space or your cap W or your cap M, so that it just barely drags through here. Now at times these little rails in here will break and you'll need to take this apart. And pull your rail off. And these little rails will need to be replaced. Now there's different styles. This one is the regular Mergenthaler gate rail. Star Parts made one that was a brass piece that fit between front and back, was solid. This is a two-piece rail. You got one here, you got one attached to the back rail back there. Now this one also has to be removed if you're changing the star wheel. The star wheel gets replaced whenever it gets worn or starts giving you trouble. And you put this back on. You also have to remove this if you're going to change your belt, because sometimes the belt will break. You'll have to remove this front rail for that. Open the first elevator, push your clutch in to do that. Now right here, there's two screws on this particular assembler elevator. Some machines only have one screw on there. We're going to take this off. And your gate comes off. This is your assembler elevator gate. Now inside here is a nylon buffer. They also make them in a red phenolic. It's part number D646. And that sometimes needs replacing because it gets dipped out right here. There's actually a steel gate on the buffer on the back. This was designed to be a little bit higher than the one in the back. So when the mats come down, they hit this first instead of hitting the steel one, so they don't mushroom out the toes on the mats. So this is made to be replaceable and should be replaced when you know wear. You see wear on it. So it's take it off once a month, once every other month, just to check it. There's also a little spring right here on this end. That spring sometimes will break. What it's for is when your mats come in, it keeps the toes from dropping back in and getting caught up in your assembler star. So you got one here, and you also have one on the back right here. Up at the top, you have another buffer that's spring-loaded, just like you do here. And that's to keep the tops of the mats from falling backwards. So this and this and this and this all work into conjunction to keep the mat in where it's supposed to be. Sometimes these springs will break and that'll hang out and your mats will start falling over. So you'll need to take this apart to replace the springs on that. Now this piece at the top and this piece right here need to be the same size. They make 3 different widths. They make a real narrow one. This is a medium one. And then they make a real wide one for different machines. So make sure that you put these on in pairs that match. Don't have one real small one and one real big one, because then your mats will sit kind of cattywampus and it won't do its proper job. To put it back together, you just slide this back on. Now you have 2 different screws here. The shorter screw goes in the top. And the longer screw will go in the bottom. Now when your mats run down and drop into this, they'll come in and they'll be sitting here like this. At this point, they should be a little bit loose so that the mats can drop in freely. The adjustment for that is right here. That comes up on a little ledge, and then when it goes up, that should drop in and tighten up the mats. And the adjustment for the tight position is right here and right here. The mats should be snug at this point so they don't flip and flop and fall over when they go up. Now with that being said, all machines, the older ones especially, will not have both of these, and some of them will not have that. Just the later one will have that. So you'll have to fudge with what you do have to get that same type of adjustment to where it's loose when it's down here so they can assemble cleanly, and then it's a little bit snug when they go up so they don't fall over as they're going up. Now some people, if they're only going to do a line so long, they'll bring this over so it's close to the mats so that it kind of holds them straight as it goes up. But it's designed for that to stay out here, and then as this goes up, these jaws will close up and hold it tight going over into your first elevator. Also on this, there's a rod back here and a pin. This rod and pin is what trips the lever up here for your delivery slide to go across. So if you ever raise this up and your delivery slide doesn't go across, it's either something binding in here or this pin has fallen out or gotten shortened somehow and it's not doing its job, and it just fits right down in here. On the bottom of this, down underneath, there's a screw that you can adjust the height of this. If it gets some wear to it, you can turn it up just a little bit. Because what you want, let me close this back up. What you want is when this raises, you want it to get to the highest position so that the mats are ready to transfer before it trips that delivery slide to go over. And when you raise this up, you can just let go of the handle. You don't need to hold it up. Once it gets up to the height, it'll hold itself until they travel across. That was the adjustments on the assembler elevator and some of the parts that need replaced at times.